Hey everyone, it is Mama to Wife of One, and we are finally in the home stretch of Married at First Sight season 12. If you're anything like me, you have been waiting for the season to be over. These people have probably gotten on your nerves. They've probably given you like heart palpitations. They've pissed you off. The experts have probably been on your hit list, all kinds of stuff. It's just been a roller coaster of emotions this season, and I'm definitely with you. I'm ready for it to be over. We are, I think, one day away from decision day. Looks like decision day is next week. So we finally get to see who's staying together and who is getting a divorce. But let's get into the couples from this week. So all the couples are coming back from South Carolina where they had a retreat. And now they're back home and they're talking with their closest family and friends to figure out if they should stay or if they should go. Let's start with Brianna and Vincent. They're still one of my favorite couples. I really like them a lot. I feel like one of the issues that they had this week was that at the wedding, Brianna's family kept telling Vincent and his family that Brianna is very bossy. And he finally admitted to Brianna that that was a big turnoff for him when he heard that, because he's explicitly said that he did not want an assertive woman. Which kind of had my hackles up a little bit, because it's like, did that mean that you wanted a docile woman? Like, is that what you were looking for? And if that's the case, why did the experts pair him with Brianna? And it also had me thinking that a lot of times, not just on the show, but just in general, a lot of times the things that we want are in the partner are not necessarily the things that we need. So even though he had a bad experience with women like that before, there is a difference, a subtle difference between being assertive and being bossy. Assertive means that you are not afraid to speak your mind. You're not afraid to go for what you want. Bossy means that you're trying to run everybody else's life. And you can be assertive without being bossy. And so I think her family using that term maybe wasn't the correct term, because being assertive is not a bad thing. But she kept repeating the term like, oh, but that's a part of my personality. And, I've tried to change myself for people in the past, and I refuse to do that anymore, which I think is valid. You should never try to change yourself for a person. But again, I think it was the use of the word bossy that really threw Vincent off. And so I feel like that's something maybe they have to work through. And on the show, at least, it doesn't show them coming to any kind of conclusion when it comes to where they're going to move after the show, when it comes to them having children, and when it comes to their finances. I want to believe that some of these conversations took place off camera, because these are pretty big ticket items that they do not agree on, that really need to be settled before they decide to spend the rest of their lives together. But either way, I think they're still in a good place. I feel like both of them are going to say yes on decision day, because even though that was a turnoff for him and is a little bit of a turnoff for her that he's disorganized, I also thought it was kind of weird. Like, I don't know many men that are organized, and him being disorganized shouldn't necessarily be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. It's like, everybody's not like that. So if you're organized, maybe you came into his life to not necessarily help him be organized, but to assist in organizing his life, not running his life, but just making life a little easier for him, which is not a bad thing. And so I think both of them will still say yes on decision day. They're still my favorite couple to watch. I think they're going to be good. They're going to go long haul. They've gotten so much better at communicating with each other, and I love the fact that they never sugarcoat the things that are on their mind. I'm going to save Eric and Virginia for last, I think. But Haley and Jacob, why are we still here? Like, really, why are we still here? Why are you still here? Things are going good right now. They actually had a meal together that didn't end in any petty words. It didn't end in any biting remarks. It was very civil. I don't remember the last time we've seen a civil conversation between the two of them. But I mean, it's been dead for a minute. There's no passion there. They don't hug each other. They don't touch each other. There's literally nothing. They literally are just roommates. That's all they are. Their dogs probably hang out and touch and interact more than the two of them do. So I have nothing else to say about them. I know they're both going to say no. It doesn't matter if they like each other or not. It's still like, this isn't a marriage. It hasn't been a marriage for a very long time. You're married on paper and you're married on the show, but you guys do not act like a married couple. There's nothing here. So hopefully, I don't say hopefully they say no, but my prediction is that they will both say no, because they understand that this is going nowhere. There's nothing here. Oh, Clara and Ryan. Clara leads with her heart. Ryan leads with his head. So Clara has made it very clear that there's absolutely no reason that he'll say no. I have no reason to say no. Ryan is everything I could have ever wanted. I had a lot of drama and heartbreak in my life, but he's the real deal. He treats me nice and he's respectful, and I feel like we're a match for a reason. we're going to be good. Our marriage is still a 10 out of 10, which bothers the heck out of me and the group chat that I'm a part of when we talk about this show, because we see her complaining about certain things when it comes to Ryan. Now, granted, she doesn't complain as much to other people, and I feel like that's a lot of Ryan's influence, that because he is so, not so tight-lipped, but because he's so private on camera, she's picked up on that, and I feel like she's changed herself a little bit to be just as private as he is. So before, when she just kind of spoke her mind and she was bold, and that's another thing that got me, because he was like, I love the fact that she's so bold and, you know, she's not afraid to express herself. But at least from what I can tell, it looks like she doesn't express herself that much anymore since they got married. I feel like part of her has kind of shrunk a little bit because she's trying to match his quietness and match his stillness. And it's like, that's not a bad thing that he's still. It's not a bad thing that she's loud. And yes, the longer you're with somebody, some of their traits tend to rub off on you, which is fine. But there's still supposed to be an element of you there. And at least from what we saw of Clara, even at the bachelorette party, none of that Clara is still visible. Even the fact that she was talking to her homegirl, and her homegirl was like, oh, so how was married life? And would you change anything? Or any red flags? She was like, nope, it's a 10 out of 10. So why would you lie to your girl? And granted, maybe that's the way they cut it, maybe, but even the fact that those words came out of your mouth to your homegirl, this isn't the producer, this is not Ryan, this isn't the other brides that you've known as long as you've known your husband. This is your homegirl who, as she said, knows her probably better than Ryan does. So why would you lie to her and say the marriage is 10 out of 10? Nothing is perfect. Even people who've been married for years and years and years, nothing is perfect. There's always room to improve. So I just thought that was really weird that she even lied to her about it. And again, I think it goes back to her wanting to keep things a little close to the chest because that's how Ryan operates. But I still don't think that's necessarily the way to go. You can still confide in your friend without putting all of Ryan's business out there. Like asking what the red flags are, or just saying, okay, well, what would be a reason for you to possibly say no? Or what are some things that you need to consider or whatever? So I thought that was a really missed opportunity for her to talk to someone else about what she's been going through with Ryan. Didn't really care for that too much. So I don't know. Like I said, Claire's made it very clear that she is saying yes. She's saying yes. She sees no reason at all why Ryan would say no. And, you know, like I said in the beginning, she leads with her heart and Ryan leads with his head. So he likes Clara, but he's looking at, okay, let me do a pros and cons list. Let me be logical about this. Let me figure out this and this and this. That's just how he operates. So he's not necessarily 100% one way or the other. He's like, okay, let me look at all the facts and figure out what works best for me and my situation. So, which makes her a little upset that he's not so gung-ho about it. But it's like, if you've known him not long, you've known him for 2 months, but you know that he thinks things through. And I think one thing that concerns him is that he feels they're not on the same page when it comes to certain things. Like, he likes to have a conversations like, well, you know, what are your goals? What are your long-term goals for our marriage, for yourself, for your career? Like, he's driven by what that next step is going to be. He's driven by, okay, these are my dreams and this is where I want to be. And she's more just kind of, she's chilled. She goes with the flow. She's creative. She's a little quirky at times. And he's very much, you know, analytical and a thinker and all that stuff. And both those things are great things to be. And sometimes when you put those things together, it can go one of two ways. You guys can clash. Or, again, you guys will rub off on each other and you'll turn into this beautiful fusion that just works. And for Clara, it's working. For Ryan, I think occasionally he has some concerns. So I feel like her heart will definitely be broken if he says no. I believe 100% she's going to say yes. But then I think, what if they say yes? What if he says yes as well? But then when we meet them back at the 6-month mark, they still haven't had sex, or he still hasn't said I love you. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I really hope that he doesn't do that to her, but I don't know. So I'm kind of up in the air with them. I know the way they cut it, they want to build the tension as much as possible. So who knows what's going to happen? I do think Clara's going to say yes. I think even after all the thinking that does, that Ryan will say yes, just because he does really like Claire and genuinely cares for her and knows that she's a good person. So I think they'll say yes, but I think that certain circumstances need to change in order for them to go the distance. Oh gosh, Virginia and Eric. So Eric, I realize I don't hate Eric. He's not my favorite person, but I don't hate him like I kind of did before. I think Eric genuinely cares about Virginia. He genuinely loves her. He even shed a couple tears at the idea of them not being together, which I thought was, it threw me off. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm sure she was like, and also thought it was kind of weird that she didn't really react. She was just kind of saw it happening. She wasn't like, oh, babe, it's okay. She just kind of just sat there because I think, her mind is kind of running 100 miles an hour and she's thinking about, the issues that they haven't really resolved. Because she mentions how they make up quicker than they did before. But making up doesn't mean that you resolve the issue. That just means you both you both decided that I'm not going to be angry with you anymore. But that doesn't mean that the issue's been resolved. It doesn't mean the issue won't come up again. So they do still view things very differently. She at least has finally admitted that she has to go to the condo to live with him after the show is over. And one thing I wrote in my notes was, okay, if you do that, make sure you have him write down, in paper and ink, get a notarized, whatever, that, okay, you are going to move with me. However, these are the steps that I'm going to take to put this house up for rent. And these are steps I'm going to take to look for a house with you. This is the timeline. I promise you we will have a new house by this date or whatever. Because if she doesn't hold him to that, he'll be like, well, we're already in my house. Why the heck we got to move? I live here. I already paid for it. I don't pay no rent, no mortgage. I own this. Like, why do we need to go anywhere else? Which will constantly have her under his thumb almost, because she's always going to feel like that's his place, which I totally get. But even at dinner, after I wrote that, he was like, I promise you, I know that you don't want to go to a condo, but I promise you it's temporary. I promise I'll do everything in my power to make sure you are comfortable, to make sure I give you the things that you need. And granted, he's saying all the right things. He is talking a good game. Time will tell if he means all these things or not. His biggest fear, which I didn't really know, but his fear is being alone. I'm sure he has a fear of having a second divorce. But I think it's less about being alone and more about being without Virginia. He really likes her, really loves her, wants her to be happy. He's trying to do all this stuff for her. But he just has some things that he needs her to do to make him feel comfortable. And I feel like his biggest thing is that he knows that he's not number one in her life, which drives him crazy because he likes, in his role as the husband or the protector or whatever, he likes to feel like, okay, my wife is going to depend on me for the things that she needs. My wife, when she's, hurt or she's scared or she's lonely, I'm going to be the first person she calls. I'm going to be able to be there for her to give her whatever she needs emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, whatever. But Virginia is very independent. And she has her group of friends and she has her family who she's super tight with. She got her pets, and he was very valid in saying she chooses all of that over me. He was like, he's like, I don't even think I'm in her top 5 of favorite people or most important people. He's like, and I'm pretty sure I'm not her best friend either. And granted, when you get married, that person is supposed to be your best friend and they are supposed to come first and all that stuff. But like I said before, that doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't happen within 2 months either, because while the show was going on, even though it is a real valid marriage, because all the cameras are on and you guys are getting so much attention, it doesn't quite feel real until the cameras leave. So once the cameras leave and now they have to do this thing called marriage by themselves without experts on call, without producers on call or whatever, I feel like that's when things will sink in for her, and she'll start putting things in place to make him feel comfortable and to put him where he's supposed to be in her life, above everybody else. And being above everybody else doesn't mean that everyone else gets knocked off. It doesn't mean you don't have a relationship with them. It just means that this person is your person. Just like on Grey's Anatomy, they always say that is my person. The person who got my back, the person who loves me, the person who will tell me about my shortcomings. Virginia is that to Eric, and he just wants to be that for her, which I get, and I can't necessarily fault him for. I think with them, I don't know. I really don't know if they're going to say yes. I definitely give Virginia a lot of credit. She was painted as extremely flighty and immature when the show first started, but she has really proven herself to be more immature, be more mature. She's a lot more thoughtful than I thought. She definitely weighs the pros and cons of everything and doesn't just jump into situations, which I can appreciate from her. So for them, I feel like he's going to say yes. I think it's a very strong possibility that she'll say yes as well, but there's no guarantee, obviously. But I think that Oh, my prediction. Okay. Clara will say yes. Ryan will say yes. Haley will say no. Yeah, Haley and Jacob will both say no, hopefully. Brianna and Vincent will say yes. Eric and Virginia will say yes. So that's my prediction. I know Paige and Chris are going to come back. That's the only thing I'm not looking forward to this last couple episodes. I've got to see Paige and Chris again. It's like, oh, we've been without you guys for 2 or 3 weeks, and it's been lovely. So they're going to come back just to make sure they're still broken up, I guess. I hope she's not still sleeping with him. I hope it's definitely dead and done. Like, that's my hope and my prayer and all that stuff. But yeah, let me know if I missed anything this episode that you guys wanted me to talk about. Let me know if you agree with my predictions. Do you have different predictions? Let me know if you're watching the Unmatchable show. I know that Dr. Viviana and Pastor Cal, they are on this new show where they deal with all of the couples, not couples, but all the men and women who they couldn't match on Married at First Sight. They deal with them individually to kind of set them up to be better at dating so that they can be more, to be more, better marriage material, I guess. I'm not really interested in watching it, but let me know if you guys watch it, okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you guys. I will see you next week. Peace.